can assure you nobody's taking that title for this year.
But I hope he will retire after he loses.
There won't be another coach. I'm impressed with everybody but him.
It's because they're scared that they may be wrong.
Fully capable of surpassing all of them.
I'm going to give her a run for her money.
I'm coming to win. I'm not coming for fun.
Fair and unfortunate.
He's going to come with losses. It's not the end of the world.
Need for a black curtain backdrop, and I get it.
Bodybuilding is my control within chaos.
My conditioning kills.
Look, you got a really exclusive interview because I ain't been saying none of this shit, yo. I've been holding my tongue on the internet.
Yes, guys, Suki for BTS TV, and look, man, I managed to get him in before he got away. It's, of course, the 2025 Olympia Men's Physique Champion to add to 23, 24, three-peat, legacy prep, done, completed, on to 2026, but that'll be a little bit later. It's, of course, Ryan. Bro!
Hello, guys. Yeah, can't believe we're here talking about this already. It's crazy.
Well, look, wait, I want to... Sorry, guys. We were just saying a moment ago that we're both suffering from Olympia flu post Vegas. I mean, the aircon absolutely wiped me out. I've had days off work, just been struggling. But look, we're going to get into it. So let's go straight to the start. Let's not waste any time because, of course, I did catch up with you quite a bit while you're out there. But... yeah, geez, man, it was eventful. And I want to start off with where everything pretty much kicked off. Everything all started. That's the weigh-in. Yeah. Because that was, I was there for the classic weigh-in, and that was just mental. I mean, that was intense. It was crowds of people. For yourself, the weigh-in is always like a first opportunity to see the competition. The guys you're up against, of course, now you have to weigh in based on your height. When you got in that room, did what was the overall feeling in there? Because I know obviously there's been a lot of talk beforehand. This is the first time when now we've got everybody in the same room.
Yeah, for me, Suki, this year was very different to previous years. I naturally am a nervous competitor, and I like to keep myself to myself and. I say I overthink the room, but I'm very conscious of who's around, what's around, and I just try to keep myself to myself. This time around, I can't explain it. I felt a different person. I felt like we're not here to mess around. There's been a lot of smack talk. There's been a lot of. It's not been as playful as previous preps have been. And I was there to do a job, and that's how I felt walking into that room. I was very calm, cool, collected. I knew I'd done everything I had to the book, what I'd put together myself. I weighed in at, it was just under 202 the morning of, so I knew I'd made weight. And it was just about cruising in and making sure I hit that weight scale, because there's nothing more embarrassing that 16 weeks you're the current champion, you don't make weight. I think that's very unprofessional and would have been horrendous. So that was my sole focus. Went in, put my headphones in, sat at the back of the class, let everybody jump together. And you can see everyone's sizing each other up, everyone's high-fiving, but really they're sizing each other up and they're seeing what the competition is. For me, I didn't need to do that or play those games because I knew I just needed to make sure I made weight. That's all I was concentrated on. I was very conscious because there were 72 of us, obviously going to make weight. And I knew I had to wait at least 2 or 3 minutes for each person to get weighed in. So I'm looking at the time thinking, I'm going to be sat here for 2 hours now. And do I eat? Because I'm exactly on my stage weight. Or how do I play this? And that's where I scuppered myself up last year, which we talked about. But because I've learned from those mistakes, I knew what to do. I was calm, collected. And funnily enough, looked at the time, it was time to eat my meal. I'd been there an hour and I wasn't going to deviate away from my meal plan because that's what I did last year and I'm learning from those mistakes. So as I started to eat my meal, I was 2/3 of the way in thinking, still got an hour and a half, an hour and 45 for this to digest and to work its way through. They shouted me up and said, like, we're going to get you on first because you've got the conference meeting and you're going to fall short of the conference meeting if we don't get you through. So I'm walking up to get weighed with my Tupperware eating. I'm like, shit, I better not be overweight here. But no, we were good. We weighed in at 200 pounds on the dot, so £2 under stage weight. Yeah, felt good.
Wait, last year when you went to the weigh-in, was it similar in regards to the crowd outside? Because outside it was just rammed. It was the security kept saying like clear away, clear away, clear away. You're trying to walk in and people are like taking pictures. It's proper
Yeah.
pandemonium, it's just chaos.
It is, yeah, and I think it was more so this year because there were more athletes. Obviously, last year I think we had, I don't know, 60 odd, 70 odd this year. They're all bringing on to everyone seems to bring an entourage now. So, yeah, it was manic last year, but it felt very manic this year as well.
Well, look, the next one was, of course, on the press conference. I mean, literally, like you've just done your weigh-in, and the press conference is like 12 o'clock. I mean, you haven't got much time. So
No,
there's
not at all.
clearly a lot on your plate. Now,
Yes.
the one thing I want to talk about the press conference is that was the one that I believe a lot of people were interested in. Because, of course, there was a lot of talk. So we had
Yeah.
you on one side, then it was Jeremy,
Yeah.
Aaron, Brandon, and Ali.
Yeah.
I've got to ask, mate, when Ali and Brandon had the altercation,
Yeah.
what were you thinking? Because you're on the other side. And I was reading the comments when I posted that video. Everyone was
Yeah.
like, Ryan's just chilling. He's
Yeah.
just chilling and watching everyone else argue. What was going through your mind when we had that moment where Brandon was like, don't touch me, don't touch
Yeah.
me?
So to be honest with you, I'm not sure how much of that story is going to come out. I felt a little bit sorry for Brandon in the respect that there's more gone off than people realise and people know. So I noticed Brandon got a lot of stick after the show on social media about he can't handle it, is this, is that. But if they knew the full story, then they might have a bit more leeway with Brandon on that situation. But that's not for me to talk about.
Yeah.
That's not my business. So for me, when I was on stage, everyone obviously assuming I've still got this thing towards Ali. That it drove me in the beginning, in the early days of my prep, but there was a point in my prep where it kind of just released away from me. He did something with the t-shirt, and it felt, I'll be honest, it felt a step too far in the cheesy, cringy thing for me, where it kind of, no, somebody who really truly thought they could come at me and they really believed that they wouldn't have to carry that on and make it a thing. And I don't know, from that point, which was, I think it was about the 6 weeks mark, 5 weeks, it was about me and my game again. And everything just released from that. So when I stepped on stage, I had no animosity towards any of them. I was already in my head of what I needed to do. And I was so fully focused this year of just bringing my best package and ensuring nothing comes into my peripheral or comes into my space, because I had a job to do and I knew I was going to do it. So when I was stood on that stage and I was hearing it, it kind of felt, I don't know, it was in one ear and out the other, because not that it was comical, but it was just thinking, oh, just get me off stage. So I want to go and eat. I want to go and rest up. I've got an amazing team around me who just have such a good energy and aura. I want to be back in that mix with those guys who mean something to me, and then I'll show these guys or show whatever you on Saturday on stage. So that's kind of how I felt in that. And so you're right, when people are saying, look at Ryan just sat there chilling.
Yeah.
It probably, that's how I kind of felt. I kind of just felt, you crack on, crack on, and let me focus on what I need to focus on.
Do you think, excuse me, do you think there was a moment where I think Ali said one more thing, and it was more of kind of, it wasn't directed at you, it's more directed at everyone, saying that, look, everyone's older, they're getting older, I'm young, I'm fresh. It was like that, maybe just one more go to see if I can get under anyone's skin. Did you see it that way, as it was just one more chance, one more try to get under people's skin before we have the big dance in 2 days' time?
I think, to be honest with you, I think Ali got a lot of traction early on by doing what he did, creating hype and going at certain athletes and stuff. And I think he saw obviously big growth in his personal brand and everything like that. And he capitalized on that. So he kind of played into it, fed into it. And I think towards the end, it kind of came a bit like, I say monotonous, but just came a bit samey. And I think that was his last attempt to try and get that big boost, like I said, before stepping on stage. And maybe it was to try and get under our skin. I think obviously it did to Brandon. Brandon showed that he wasn't going to take any shit on that day on that stage. So maybe he did. I thought Jeremy was a class act.
Definitely. I agree.
The way he held himself, the way he explained, and the way he tried to speak. Look, I'm speaking from experience because he went down the same path Ali did. and it didn't end up the way he wanted it to. So I feel like, yeah, you could really see the maturity in Jeremy, and I respected that a lot, everything he said.
Do you think, with everything that Ali did, that without that, it would have not created the amount of excitement, hype, and interest for this year's men's physique lineup? Because I remember we're going to go into prejudge in a moment, but I mean, look, when you came out, the place was packed. Everybody was there because they knew what they wanted to see, and this was the build up of weeks of excitement, hype. All the media outlets, Hart McGrath, Alex, everybody had been jumping. Even RX Muscle outlets who don't even focus on men's physique, they were talking about it. So clearly, it's got attention.
Yeah, I do. So I do think, like I say, Ali played a big part in starting that. But I do think you guys as media enhanced that and made that huge, because that could have been killed off straight away and been a one-hit story and done. But the fact you guys played into it as well, and then you were really covering it and finding any angle to go at, I felt like then other athletes were obviously thinking, this is working for Ali. This is, so that they were getting in on it. So it did get traction. And it did obviously create that type of hype, definitely going into it. It's a shame that I say a shame. No, yeah, it was the hype needed maybe possibly for the big reveal at prejudging, because I noticed massively a difference this year.
In yourself?
Yeah, I noticed like I say, there was definitely so much more going into it. It felt more, as from an athlete's point of view, though, which I'm not sure I prefer. I like it, but that's just, I think, the person that I am. It felt a lot more tension between a lot of people, like a lot more animosity between a lot of the athletes and stuff. And you just felt like they were the breaking point between each other, which I've never seen that before. I've seen the odd person have a bit of gripe and it's faded off. Whereas it felt like there was quite a few that anything could go at any time, more tension in it. Luckily, it had nothing to, well, it did have something to do with me, but I kind of fended it off in the way I do.
Do you think? I mean, like I was talking to Josh, obviously, your training partner. The first time you won the Olympia, like the motivation was to win it. The second one was to defend the title, which is hard enough to do.
Yeah.
If we skip the third one, the fourth one, should you get there, which you are, is tie the record.
Yes.
And the fifth one is to break the record. The third one is like a middle one where, yes, Ty branded, but he's not the leader. The fourth one is a lead. So did you think that, you know what, this was actually I never thought this would come up and this would be the motivation to drive me to win number 3, but this was required to get me to another level, and now the next level is number 4.
You mean the hype in order to get
the hype, that motivation, that fuel? This is what I needed to actually unveil a new level of Ryan Terry.
So I'm going to explain something to you now, which so we called it legacy prep because for me, like I say, the first one, it was validating. It was like, oh my God, we've won it. I'm the best in the world. The second one was to prove that the first one wasn't a fluke and that I was worthy of being number 1 in the world. This third one for me felt like it was legacy. Whenever I thought about it, it felt like legacy. It felt like it was cementing my name. And people say you'd already cemented your name because you've won 2 titles. It didn't. It felt different for me. It felt like this was the turning point that you can go down as one of the greatest ever, as your legacy, setting your legacy for the future. So as I was going into it, I've got all the footage, luckily. So I basically started manifesting something, and I said it from 16 weeks out, and we've not released any of the footage yet. So this will be coming out soon, but I really want to make this epic. At 16 weeks out, I said, this prep isn't about, and this is why we called it legacy, by the way. This isn't about winning this Olympia, because I know I can win, and not in a cocky way. It's just the fact that everybody on that stage I've already beaten. So technically, on paper, as long as I bring my best and improve, I can still beat any of those guys. But it's how I win. And I want to win in an undeniable way, in a specific way, which has never been done before. And I said on camera, and you'll be able to see the footage, and I've said it all the way through, and I manifested this. And I kept saying, when I was doing my cardio in the morning, headphones on with my eyes shut, and I kept reiterating it constantly. And I obsessed on it, playing this scenario out, which was, I wanted 9 people in the first call out. I even said it on camera in New York 3 weeks out. I wanted nine, and people go like ads my videographer said, why do you want nine people? I said, because I can name 10 athletes who could easily walk away with that Olympia title because the standard is so good this year. I feel like you could easily name 10 people either way. So I said, I know it's unheard of because the first call out is always an equal number. So you always have 6 or 8 because you never want anyone stood in the centre box. So then when you go into finals, there's always that question is who's first, who's second, and it creates that demand to watch the finals and the excitement. And then you don't know who's third or fourth and so on. So you never quite know until finals. But I said, I want to do something undeniable where I stand in the middle on that X, everyone's in the blue boxes, and there's 4 either side of me, 4 athletes either side. And I want to stand there from the first call out, and I never want to move. And I want them all to move places, and I just stand there undeniable. And I said, I know that's probably never going to happen. I said, because for a bodybuilder, like that's the platinum scenario. That's the best ultimate scenario you could have where you've been decided the winner from the moment you step on stage. And that's exactly what happened. And I could not believe it. I was shocked to the point where if you look on the footage where they call me out and they say, right, between Ali and Brandon. So I'm walking down the line, I'm thinking, there's a lot of people here, in this box. I didn't realize at the time there was 9. And when the guy pointed to the box, I was like, that box? I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, that's the eggs. So I stood in it, hit that front pose, and I remember seeing Stephen Tyler look up, looked at me for a few seconds, and then started moving people. So I was like, holy shit, they have to put me here. So I'm stood there, and then they turned me to the back. And as they turned me to the back, I thought, right, let my abs recover. I know they're not going to move me from the back because they don't often move people from the back until you get to the front. And I can hold my own in the back. So I thought, I'm all right for a bit. When they put me to the front again, as we were turning, I thought, right, be prepared to fight. You're going to be swapped out now. You're going to move. Never looked at me again. And they're looking at Brandon, they're looking at Ali, and they're thinking, oh my God, this is not happening. This is playing out exactly how I played this out 16 weeks ago. Turned us to the back. And then when we turned back to the third time, they said, Ryan, Ali, and Brandon back. I could not believe, I was in disbelief. I was like, there's no way I couldn't have won that then because I was stood in the X the whole time. And that feeling, when I talked about being undeniable, separating myself from the pack this year, which, by the way, if you look at my resume, would never ever happen if you looked at that on paper because I was always fighting from 8th down to 2nd, and it was never a clear, he's a point off winning. It was always like he's never quite good enough because his back's not good enough, or his arms are too small. He don't pose very well. There was always something for me to be in that mid top call out. I was never a full contender for first place every time. So to then jump now being undeniably at the third was just something I will forever remember. It's the pinnacle of my career. And even to this day, like now, I could burst out crying if I start thinking about it too much because it was just, so much validation and so much like, you've done it right. You've proved to the world that you are what you said you are.
I mean, something before that was your individual walk, which of course, as a champion, you get to pick your own music. And before I ask you about the reason behind the tune you picked, I have to say, mate, when you came on, I mean, Josh already told me, mate, said, Suki, just you wait. Just you wait till you hear his music. Also, don't forget, yes, he came out in that, when you do the groups of 8, and then you go back for individual comparisons, he'll have pumped up by now. So you're going to see a completely new physique.
That's before you carry this, that's one thing I did want to address.
Go on.
So I had other coaches, other men's physique, very high athlete coaches, messaging me saying, basically, I look like shit when I walked out with that first bit. Yeah. And it's so hard as a competitor because you're right. I didn't put any glaze on. I didn't pump up. I didn't do anything. I took my top off. I put a little bit of glaze on, but I didn't do anything because I didn't want to waste my pump because I knew I was going to be waiting for an hour and a half watching everybody else do their routines. So I came out very conscious hitting this because I knew the whole world would be wanting to see first glance of what I look like. And sure enough, didn't have a pump, looked flat. And then I'm getting all these messages going, Ryan, I know you know what you're doing, but you need to put oil on. You need to carb up. You need to pump up. I'm like, I know I do, but just wait. I've got an hour and a half to wait, and I'll show you what
Yeah.
I'm doing. There's a plan behind it. But anyway, sorry.
Well, no, that's it. Anybody who knew it would already knew what the game plan was. There's no way. We've heard it before where you have to wait an hour to do your individual walk. And I already spoke to other people who were a bit annoyed the fact that they pumped up for their first group, they had to pump up again, and it was. But when you came out, mate, place erupted. The place absolutely. I think they erupted not only because of obviously how you look, but they understood the reason behind the song they put on. It was relatable because you're going for your third win. Everybody, cameras were all up. Obviously, I filmed the whole thing. I remember when you went off, I went to Josh, I turned around, looked at him, I was like, mate, Josh was fucking like in tears. I showed him the video. I said, mate, look at this. As I showed him the video, literally a crowd of people went around him to look at it again. They were like, all try and get over him because everyone was like, I didn't see that again. Did we just see what we just saw? But yeah, my question, mate.
To hear that, I can even start crying now. That's exactly what I wanted. Yeah. Well, sorry. Yeah.
No, I think I know what you're going to say, but the song choice, you got to pick the song. What was the reason behind it?
I wanted to just basically solidify what I was coming here to do. And there was no question. As soon as I heard that, and it was win, win, win. All I do is win, win, win. I thought, very fitting. There was 3 wins in that song.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be, I had a few other songs in mind, but the songs were very heartfelt. And the words were brilliant because they were very in tune with how my prep went and the hardships of a lot of it. But I just thought, that's not going to get the crowd going. They don't understand. Unless somebody's heard that song before, they won't really understand it. So it's just going to be noise. I wanted something to get the crowd up and going and just to solidify to everybody backstage that this is what I'm here to do. And it was, and it's exactly, and it worked so well because obviously the DJ let me pick it.
Yeah.
But you can't time when you can do so I kind of made it up as I went along, but it just kind of felt quite lucky in the fact that when I was halfway through one of the poses, everybody stand up.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is so funny because I look back at myself doing that sort of thing and I'm like this, cringing. Because I don't realize I'm doing it. And that's the thing I love about being on stage is I become like my alter ego. And I love the person he is because that's not who I am day to day. I wouldn't have the confidence to do half of what I did on that stage. Josh sent me videos of me going, Ash, and doing this. And I'm thinking, like this, when I did this pose, that's not in my routine. That's never been in my routine. But I don't know, like I said, I have this confidence, this aura, I'm here to fight. I'm here to show you how hard I've worked. And I worked damn hard this prep, more so than any other because I let things get in my head. And I thought by working harder, by getting in the trenches and putting myself through more pain, that I'd get a better result for it. Equally, I did because obviously I looked probably the best I've ever looked, but I put myself through a lot of pain early on, which I probably didn't need to do. And that was my statement saying, I'm here.
Well, I mean, we saw, like, we've seen confidence in you on stage before, like 2024, the finals, when the door lifts up and you got the lights behind you. But of course, you could feed into that because it's a whole production. This was something different because this was pre-judging. Yes. Pre-judging confidence is very different from finals confidence because you may already feel what the result is. Yes. This is the first, you haven't even done comparisons yet. So the Ryan we saw come on stage with that confidence just felt like this is a whole new level Ryan that just has full belief in what he has. And he knows that if he nails it, it's game over, doors shut, enjoy the fight for second place. And that's exactly what came across.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And it was the first time. There's something that really clicked this year for me as well. Is a good friend of mine, John, he's a physio. He's been to near enough every Olympia with me. He said about environment. It's all about environment. It's about the people you have around you, and it's the environment you're in, which makes such a difference to the look, the feel, how you perform, everything. And I never really took that in. I never really understood it. And this year, I had a bad environment being here, being back in the UK, just because of my businesses, and there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of things going off. But when I got out there and I had the team I had around me, they all had a role to play. They didn't have any input in I train on my own. I do my own nutrition. I do every part of the routine myself, but they were there in a way where if I needed any one of them, they were like I knew they were wholeheartedly there, and they all supported each other in different ways, and it just felt so relaxed. Like the night before prejudging, every Olympia, I have to be on my own in a room, pacing the room, panicking, worrying, nervous, trying to just everything, just so like overthinking everything. This year, I was in Johnny's room. We were watching the finals, 212 and whatever. We were watching the fight. They've all got pizzas, beers. We're all just chilled out watching TV. And I'm like, this is class. This is amazing. And I didn't feel any pressure, didn't feel anything untoward. And I was just couldn't wait for the next day. I couldn't wait to go to sleep because I knew to step. Whereas every other prep, I've been so anxious and nervous. And it definitely transpires on to the way you feel, how you act on stage. And yeah, it was incredible.
Talk about finals. Obviously, I watched Chris Bumstead's video. It's Olympia recap the other day, and there is a part where backstage. This is obviously before you're due on stage. I think you're showing the video of your routine, and he said some really positive things, not in that, but also in previous videos in his prediction. And did he give you any words of advice backstage or any reassurance of how you're feeling? Because clearly he was there as well, supporting you to get that third win.
Yeah, so probably not at that stage, but Chris is a good friend of mine, and we talk often, and we've had in-depth conversations, we've had quite deep conversations, and things that I think I probably suffered with regards to being in the moment and enjoying yourself and accepting of who you are, where you are. I think I've always struggled with that, and I think Chris was the same in his early days, so he understood that. So I think in this prep we spoke quite a lot. We was obviously in Lift London together, we went and trained together, and even he said, even that far out, he said you're like a different animal. He says you can see there's something different in you this year, like you've got that confidence and you've got that determination, but you can see you being present, you're in the moment. And so he was always making sure I was still in that mind frame going into it. And that's what he was asking when we were backstage. Are you still feeling the way you were feeling? He said, because you should, and obviously be confident. And to have someone like that, obviously in your corner, is fantastic. Yeah, and I do think he's helped tremendously. And I think when we talked about the environment and the people around me and stuff, like I said, big shout out, but going off track, but big shout out to my team who were there. They were all phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, he talked about being present and make sure if it was, because he didn't know if it would be my last one and all this kind of stuff. He's like, just be present and enjoy it. He said, because once it's over, and look back and wish you'd been in. And I think that's what made it so, for me, so calming, because I was present rather than just thinking what I need to do next or panicking and wish the Olympia would come now because I'm ready and that sort of thing. I was just, no, the Olympia will come when the Olympia comes. You just keep ticking those boxes each day, stay in your lane and do what you need to do.
Let's talk about the result, because it's, I mean, it was a movie script. It was a movie script, as in we got you and Ali in the center before Bob's about to announce the winner. It's all kind of led back to this one moment that has started all the excitement, all the hype. And I filmed it, your head is down. At that point, do you believe that you have won, or what's going through your head at that point? Because you've been through this so many times. You were in the center in prejudging, you weren't moving, you got exactly what you wanted. But is there still an element of doubt when you're in the centre spot waiting for the result?
Yeah, of course there is. Like, there's no denying that's when everything you've tried to prepare for goes out the window, because you're literally waiting to hear certain words, and it could go either way. And you start panicking. I do anyway. Ali looked very calm and collected, but that's why my hands are going like this and shaking. I think, hurry up, come on. And I'm thinking, what if I don't win this? And so many things go through your head or go through my head. Like, for instance, at that moment, would you believe what shot into my head was the fact that I had a watch party, Olympia watch party at RT Fit. And I know I had 150 members at 12 o'clock at night in the UK, all there with my T-shirts on, and could you imagine if I didn't win? and well, how disappointed they feel. And I'm thinking, shit, if I don't win, I've got to go and face all these people who have stayed up till midnight and that embarrassment of apologizing to them for not winning. And that was going through my head. I'm like, oh, please, God, please, like, no, 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 no. So, yeah, that's when the calmness goes out the window. For me, it does. And that's when I'm like, say, shaking. And I think because I was waiting to hear and still, and he goes, and he I was like, well, that's not still. He hasn't said still. I was like, well, 3 times champion. Then then it just hits you like a ton of bricks.
Can you describe that kind of out of body experience?
Yeah, it's that again, validation. It's that you've done it. All the hard work was worth it. All the sacrifice was worth it. You start looking at all the injuries. You start looking at all the things you've missed. The kids' play you missed the week before, like your son's school play. All of it rushes back, and it's like you've done it. It was worth it. You've a lot of sacrifices, but you did it, and yeah.
When when you announce a winner, your interaction with a few different people were different with others. Like for example, you gave that handshake to Ali, and then you went over to Erin, and there was this fist bump, like clinching, like I did it. And you did the same to Jeremy, but it was a bit different with Brandon and Edvin.
Well, yeah, not so much. Obviously, not so much with Brandon and Edvan and stuff. It was just they were so. I looked at them, and all of these guys were all willing me. All of these guys have. So this is something I don't publicize, or I've not said anything before. But most of the top 10, top 15 were messaging me all the way into my prep, wishing me luck. I'm the king. Do what you need to do. These are the people who I'm going up against, but they were showing me respect in my DMs, saying like, you're looking phenomenal. You know what you need to do. You've got this. So they were already wanting me to win. So it was that way of saying I did it, guys, not just for for myself, but I did what I felt like a lot of them wanted. Why they were messaging me that and why I don't know, probably for their own reasons, and we'll not go into that. But I think they were just as elated that I'd won than I was. And like Erin, as soon as I looked towards him, he was running at me to say, let's. So I gave the same energy back that he was coming for me. Looked at Jeremy, he was doing the same, massive. Yeah. He was running at me. So I don't want to half-ass someone who's bringing that much energy towards me. Obviously, Ali was disappointed, so we have a handshake. And to be honest with you, like I say, I've got no bad blood or anything, but I don't like that, the whole disrespect thing, what went off. And that wasn't something I just forget like because of me winning. I'm quite a sensitive soul, I am.
You still showed a very classic moment where you actually, in your speech, you did show appreciation is probably the wrong word, but you acknowledged Ali in saying that he brought something out of me that maybe I didn't know I still had.
100%. When you've been in the game so long, no matter how hard you try and keep that passion, that fire, that motivation alive, it fades because you get older, you do the same thing, you get the same results. It's hard to pick yourself up every year when you want one thing and one thing only, which is first place, and you've done 9 attempts at it and you're not getting first place. It does knock you down and knock your confidence. So to have someone like him who did spark something like I've never known before, the way I was training, the discipline, this is the first prep, like I've never missed a single meal at the time that it was due. I've had meals where I've missed a meal before, or I have it later, or I'll swap it with another one, or whatever. I never missed a single beat on this whole 16 weeks. No, there was a non-negotiable wherever I traveled. Normally, I'm like, yeah, I'll fit it in when I get there. Now we stop and we eat exactly the time I've put down. I've never missed the supplement. I never missed anything. I did more training than I've ever done before. My midsection, I trained as though I was back doing gymnastics when I was a teenager. All these things were factors that I got lazy over the years with. But thanks to Ali and shouting about it and saying at a better midsection that I got lazy, that I couldn't pull it in just because of my age. All these things sparked something in me which brought the best out of me. So, yeah, like I say, that wasn't a jibe or anything like that. That was actually genuine, that it did bring me to a new level.
And Bob mentioned a comment which was probably the most used one throughout this entire prep, obviously Ali saying, obviously the interview did myself, that he'll be the one to kind of retire yourself, and that was retire was a word which obviously has been mentioned in other interviews as well. Tarek on Olympia TV, yourself, Bob on the interview. It was always something that people always come back to because it's a personal. It's a big one to say.
Yeah.
That statement sounded like the one that really probably was the most personal one, because we saw when I dropped that video of it, it sparked so much. I mean, sparked so much as a lot of people on your side.
Yeah.
But this is someone who obviously saying that they'll be the one to retire the current champion.
I think it massively hit a nerve with me, that did. I think more so because I want to go out on my terms, and like retirement is a big thing for me. And obviously I'm coming to the latter part of my career, no matter how you look at it, with my age factor and stuff like that. And for someone to come in and just be very blasé, very disrespectful in the way he said it, was just, it hit me hard. I was like, no. I had so much respect for this guy, his physique, he's young, he's a good looking lad. He could hold the division well and he'll be a great champion. But to then throw shadow over what I've done in the industry for over 10 years and how hard I've worked to get where I'm getting, to then just like dismiss it and I'll retire it. Yeah, it hurt. And I took it very personal. And that was one of the big driving factors for me. Because like nobody says that I decide that, especially with how hard I've worked from, because people forget, like when I started in the industry, they were all American. I was the first Englishman to get a pro card. I was the first English for 4 years to have that. I was the first European to go over to America, to go against the Americans. And I was dead last in my first shows. I had no real sponsorships then. So it was all coming, I was funding it, a lot of it myself, going overseas, competing against guys who would compete every weekend because it was a couple $100 internal flights to go to each state. I was having to plan everything out, use all my savings to get across the pond, to try and get my name out there, to do 3 shows back to back over the weeks, living on the rice cakes and tuna tins and stuff, because I didn't know American food. I didn't know how to get anything. I didn't know anybody over there. There was so much I went through, which nobody sees that or nobody hears that, because that was 10 years ago. And to get myself through the ranks without having any help or support, it was, to them just be dismissed as, be retired. It was hard to hear.
Turning on to a positive note, I have to ask, there is a beautiful video which you posted on your page, which of course I reposted it. And it's of course of your wife, Amy, waiting, just pretty much just doing exactly what you're doing on stage. She's got her hands on her head, waiting for the result. I believe Josh is probably recording it at the time. And then of course the result. When you saw that video back to see how much that meant to Amy, because I'm assuming as well, she's gone through this with you as well. She's seen the people and the comments. She's gone through it. What did that mean to you to see that kind of reaction from the person who's closest to you?
It was incredible. Like I'm gonna get quite emotional about it, to be honest. But she's been wait 2 seconds. So she's been through. I've been quite emotional since getting off stage. I'm not gonna lie. This prep was, or this win has been a massive thing for me. Not just in the industry, on a personal level as well. So with Amy seeing that, it was just incredible, because she has been there from day one. So she's seen all the ups, all the downs. She moved to America with me in 2017, when we thought that was the case. So she up-eviled her life and just followed and supported my dream from day one. So it felt like, we both said it this time round, because I don't know why. I don't know why it's the third one, but this one felt like everything was worth it. Everything we'd sacrificed as a couple, everything we'd done over the years, just meant so much. And that post will never be enough. Like what she's done for me, especially with the kids and supporting me to this day. She's a phenomenal woman. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without her. So she's amazing. Sorry.
I can't believe now we're now going to look ahead to 2026. And you only just won the title a week ago, and I'm already talking about 2026. It's crazy to imagine. It's crazy to imagine that we're having this conversation about you go for 4 after all those near misses, all those the times where you drop from a certain placing down to 7th or 8th, and now we're in the conversation
That's the
about
thing. That's the thing people forget as well, and that's what's quite hard is people don't realize like when you do those dropping and everything, it's so hard to come back from. And like 2018, when I had my hip surgery, that was again people don't remember that, but for 6 months I was on crutches.
yeah.
Amy was by my side the whole time, trying to keep me in a positive mindset. And up until that point, I was beating Brandon. If you look at all the shows, I was always in front of Brandon. So I was next in line, obviously, to kind of win the Olympia or be very close to Olympia way back then. To then for me to lose all the size because I was on crutches, I wasn't trained, to see Brandon excel, get bigger, better, start winning the shows, and then for me trying to chase him for took 6 years to get back up there to beat him. There's all these setbacks that people don't really see the big picture. They only see the here and now. But we've been through so much, and yeah, unbelievable. But yeah, sorry, carry on. Yeah, 26.
2026. Look, it was another flawless win. There was one point between second and third, which shows you the real battle was there.
Yes.
It
And
wasn't
that's-
first place.
Yes.
Um,
Because people talk about rivalry and stuff like that. There was no rivalry in that. There's a rivalries between those two, the second and third. And to be honest with you, like I say, it was hard for me with Brandon because I've always had a massive. I've got respect for Ali's physique and he has a phenomenal physique. But Brandon, I'd look at it and I just think, how is that not like outright? I've always been a fan of. You'd have heard me in previous talks and whatever. I've always been a fan of Kyron Holden's physique and Brandon Hendrickson's. So yeah.
in fact, sorry, before I was going back to, you just mentioned something. I do want to shout at some person because I feel like I really want to, because there was an argument that maybe this person could have placed higher than where he was. Yeah. And I feel this person does need to have a shout out. I can't, his name has just left my head. Mr. AI, 6th place, the Chinese lad.
Jen. Yeah. So I've been speaking to him. So mark my words, he will be the talk of the next Olympia. So he's going to be one of the front runners. He'll be one of the guys everybody's watching, everybody's talking about. And rightly so. Like, he came in as the third call out originally, and he worked his way all the way through. And I was actually speaking to Bill, the judge, one of the judges at the after party, the after party. And he said, look, he's who you need to be worried about. He basically worked his way from mid 18th to 16th, whatever, and he worked and worked. And the longer he was on that stage, the more he was getting seen. And he was definitely creeping his way up. And yeah, arguably, he could have been fighting in that top 5 easily.
Yeah, incredible support. I remember I had all his fans behind me pre-judging. He had incredible support. So I'm really, really happy for him. Sorry, going to 2026, look, like I said, it was another flawless win, just like last time. And now we're in the conversation where 2026, you could tie the all-time record. Yeah. And then, of course, you're 1 year away from breaking the record.
100%.
You're at a place now where, in my eyes, I don't want to put any pressure on you, but like in your head, are you at now, I have to break the record. I am too close. I've worked too hard. I'm winning shows convincingly. Yeah. The distance between me and second place is so far ahead that if I utilize the next 2 years correctly, stay injury free, I have to break the record.
100%. So going into this prep, into this show, definitely midway through, when I've been pushing myself, I really did think this could be my last one, because the enjoyment was being lost because I was driven by negativity. I was obsessed, and I could see what it was doing to my family because I was just so distant from them. And I was like, so I wasn't falling out, I wasn't nasty, I wasn't anything. I'd completely isolated myself, and I'd gone into this hole. And I remember thinking, you can't do this anymore. You've got a 5-year-old, 2-year-old. And this, if you get your 3rd title, that's more than enough. Like, you've solidified that you're good enough to be number 1 in the world in your time. You don't need anything else. Don't need any more. As I got closer, the environment changed. My mindset changed. And everything fitted back into place. I was back with my family again. I was fine with them again. Everything and everything felt right. I don't know how to explain it. And it was all about the environment. It was about the mindset I was in. And then when we got over to America, I just realized this is me. Bodybuilding is me. And I love bodybuilding. I love the structure it gives me. I love the life it gives my family. I'm very fortunate because, yes, when you're in prep, you have to be selfish. But for the other 9 months of the year, you can dedicate anything to your children and work around your family. You couldn't do that in a 9 to 5 job. Like you sat behind an office or something. I'm very fortunate it gives me that life. So why would I then stop when I'm at the pinnacle of my career? My health's, touch wood, in a good spot. I've still got the fire in my belly to be at my best. Still got the passion to keep improving, to break records what have not been broken yet. It's like, why? It's ludicrous to stop, and I'd regret it. I do. That being said, I do want to retire on top. I loved how Chris went out, but if I was to retire anytime soon now, I'd feel like it's a cop out. I feel like I've not reached the potential yet, and I want to be able to break those records and set my own records. And in 2 years' time, my son will be 7 years old. He'll be on stage with me and understand it. He's putting a gold medal on, but he doesn't really understand it. And Elsie has no clue. She's 2 years old. That drives me in itself to think in 2 years' time, if I could get 5 titles and bow out gracefully, then that gives me, I'd still be under the age of 40. My kids will understand and know and hopefully be very proud of me and be in the moment with me, not just seeing what's all this, daddy, actually understand it. And hopefully, yeah, set a record what's going to be hard to break.
The confidence you have now, the confidence you've just taken from taking the win. I mean, you must believe that this can be done. That you are that. Look, Jeremy even said, he commented on the post. If there's anyone who can do it, it's him.
Yeah.
That's the guy who's got the 4. That's the guy which you're trying to beat. Even he's saying that you're the one. And to be fair, he probably is cheering you on to go and do it because he's been there from the start, seeing you go up and down, up and down. And clearly you got the support of the division. You must believe that you can and you will break the record.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. And the thing is, like, the thing what was making this hard for me in terms of talking about retirement, I've already started. Today I've been in meetings, so I've been photo shooting from I was 7:30 this morning till 11:30, and then come off the gym floor photo shoot from 11:30 till picking my kid up at 3 o'clock for school. I've been in meetings with organising and getting everything that is not serving me and diluting my energy in the UK away from me. So if it's a business, we're selling it. If it's my rentals, because I've got houses and stuff like that, it's not worth it. I want to dedicate the next 2 years to being at my very best. Because if I can get this standard now with everything I've got going in my life, I'm a very chaotic man. I've got a lot of shit in my life which I could really get rid of and channel more energy into my family and into solely bodybuilding. Then I feel, yeah, like you say, we could be unstoppable and make sure we solidify that 5th title.
Because I think we all know what that 5th title means. It means more than just the record of men's physique. It means your name is there with Ronnie Coleman, Phil Heath, Chris Bumstead, Sidney Gillen, that's Andrea Shaw.
And that's the funny thing, because I didn't want to say it early because I don't want to put say that about myself, putting myself in with the greats of those type of people. But already it feels like that. It felt like I'd been lifted up into their category after this 3rd title. And I wasn't expecting that. And like going backstage and hearing the production team, I got like a standing ovation after the titles. And I know it sounds silly, that cheesy standing ovation, but when I was having photos or getting dressed, I had all the production company coming up to these people I've known for over 10 years, like I've seen backstage, and all the greats of the past, all there, backstage, and like the bosses, the top bosses, all coming up saying some amazing things, not just about the win, just about how I've conducted myself, how professional I've been, how I represent the sport so well, not just men's physique, the whole industry, and talking about you're now in that category. That's what hit me the most. And then when they're coming up saying, right, when you recalled the winner, everybody just stopped. People took their headsets off. The tanning girls, like all clapping and all watching the screens and stuff. That meant more to me than like hearing that and knowing that's I've been accepted. And it sounds cheesy that, but I've been accepted was just incredible, absolutely incredible. And I thought, why would I give that up? Like, why would I go out when we just feel like we're beginning now, we're just starting?
I guess that's the fuel for the idea, the vision you have of. I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when you get there in 2027
Yeah.
for that fifth title,
Yeah.
for your family to be there, Alfred to be there, everybody backstage who've been there since the very start when you were there,
Yeah.
first, not placing or come so go second, 1 point away from Jeremy, going down to eighth. They've all been there to see this moment where you can claim number 5. I mean, that is probably something that's going to be plastered in your head for the next 2 years. That is the image I want. I want my family all to be there on stage with me
Yeah.
before I bow out.
I think that's the one positive I can say about my mindset. Like when I obsess over something, I can really, really visualize something, and I can go so deep into it that it feels real, and I can play that over day in, day out, like an obsessive thing where I can easily go into it an hour later when I'm doing my treadmill or my cross train. I'm still thinking of the same scenario of that top 9 and me stood in the middle. And like, how have you thought about that for an hour? I've not thought about anything else, and I haven't. And when I was in Powerhouse in Las Vegas, I obsessed over Alfie with making the promise to me wearing the medal. And I literally was obsessing over him being at the front door and I'm passing the medal over and that's exactly what we did. So that's how I will do for 2026, 2027 is visualizing specific moments that mean the world to me, which will push me and make me get in the trenches, work harder than I ever have before.
Well, look, we're going to wrap it up here. And what I do hope as well, like we've seen all the stuff happening in Brazil of Dino going back like a bloody hero. It's like the Brazil football team winning the World Cup.
I know. I didn't get quite that at Heathrow, I must admit. When I landed, I didn't quite get that.
Sorry. I really hope. I really do hope because, like, I was saying to this to Elliot, I was saying this to Josh, I was saying to all the guys over Vegas that there is going to be a point when Ryan does bow out, we're going to look back and think, did we as a bodybuilding community do enough to celebrate some achievement that probably will never get replicated? Look how long it took when Dorian Yates won his Olympia to Samson. And we're not talking about one Olympia, we're talking about multiple Olympias back to back. And that's what's happening in Brazil. We see what happens in Iran. We see Urs in Germany. I really do hope that we don't go missing this opportunity. And as we have hopefully, 2 more years of this to make sure we do it right.
Honestly, I would love nothing more to be able to celebrate with the UK bodybuilding community, but I can't be the one to organise.
I know. I'm not about you.
But I even spoke to Noel, Chief Brand Officer of Gymshark, who was speaking tonight, and I just said, like, it's such a shame because I can put something on at RT Fit, my gym, and I can fill it, put 1,000 people in there. But it shouldn't be like that. Like you say, we should, as a community, like be celebrating. Because I said it to Samson, I said, like, with 2 Olympia champions, never been done before for a whole year in the UK. It's crying out to just celebrate and do something massive. Like, why are we not doing it? I agree, because even like I say, we've had 3 UK people win this in this Olympia, and it's just I agree. I would wholeheartedly. I've even looked at start doing like getting a marquee ready and doing something huge, something to celebrate it. But I just think it'd be a bit cringy if I do.
You might not get the fire engine that Dino had going around Retford.
No, probably not. No, I could probably get a horse and cart.
It was absolutely incredible scenes over there.
It's phenomenal, and so it should. Do you know what I mean? He's become the world champion. Like, so it should. Fair play to him.
Apparently in 2 weeks he'll have a statue over there as well in Sao Paulo. So, guess what, bad. Look, Ryan, I took it way long, not way long where I should. Look, once again, mate, obviously, like, it's what you've done, what you continue to do. Look, I think I sent you a few messages. Like, I called with Dan Solomon on Friday, and he was like, just chatting to me, like, how lucky not just the UK but bodybuilding worldwide is to have an ambassador like yourself. You're so loved by not just the UK community but worldwide, and I think we're all got this vision of how this fairy tale could end.
Yeah.
And I think we all want to live it with you. We all do live it with you when we see the results and your reaction, your family's reaction, and
Yeah.
everybody's just there to want it to have the fairy tale ending from the plumber that started it back in 2010, who was a Mr. International over in Thailand, to Men's Fitness, Muscle and Fitness magazines, becoming the first iPro in 2013 through UKBFF, and then, of course, breaking America, and now still, over a decade since then, is still the face of not just the division, but one of the faces of the sport.
Thank you. And that means a lot saying all that. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Cheers, Ryan.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.